down, please. Orion Council here. Are we ready? Go.
Go.
We have to say what is going on with this personality program. Alright? It's been too long and we cannot wait to communicate. Rest assured all as well. At times life is difficult and we know what you mean when you say I've had enough. So how can we be of assistance? Orion Council here. We cannot wait to talk with you. Hello. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for being here, Council.
So happy to talk about your planet Earth. And you know, we love you. So it is. Yes, we're ready to answer your questions.
Can the Council elaborate this humongous transition Earth is going through right now? This energy shift where everything seems to be so strange.
The scientific mind is activated in your higher self, connects you with lots of people. Why do we say higher self? How do you figure that people are connected to you? Where are these people? You're practicing and you are sensitive. Certain qualities have evolved over time. Those are being utilized to resist those other people. Now you see yourselves, and rest assured, you are given new information. Practicing and sharing and practicing and sharing. Lots of us come together for these communications, just as you come together with your friends and family to higher self, celebrate higher selves. And why can we see it and many cannot? Personality programs don't sense higher self. Human beings are focused here. We are sensitive, so we tell you what we are observing. Alright? Yes, that's our answer. Perhaps you want more information.
So more in detailed information, what are you observing? How is the personality program stronger, or what the divine guidance bring in? How do we know how to deduct that? How do we retract that? How do we take it out of distorting what needs to divinely come in?
Correct. In some, assuming that you have distortions, people sense they have limitation with regarding their collectives of consciousness. They still aren't decided where they are coming from, so to speak, when it comes to their own communications to something greater. And a lot of people aren't sure, where do I belong? Who is my guide? If that makes sense here. Part of you wants to know who you are in this grand scheme of reality, and part of you already knows it. So what is the difficulty in connecting to that sensitivity? Can you understand what we mean? Correct? Is it our information correct? Do you sense the truth in our language?
Yes.
Cause yes, we see, and we can tell you what we see. Christ light, and you cannot forget who that was, so we use this word. Peace to many. You have a scientific part of your brain. It is growing. That is what is taking place. Who knows what we mean by that?
Details, please.
March 25th, we have told you many times, was the date when openings took place for your hemispheres. You say that the brain is pulsing. We say you are channeling for you, and you are getting info for you. Science. No, you know why it is cool to channel, because science is involved. Personality programs have to decide what is scientific. Without understanding yourself, you have no perception of science. So studying yourself has become quite interesting for many at this time.
So how do we study more of ourselves than what we know? Because they say what we know is a drop, what we don't know is the ocean. How do we make contact with the ocean?
Perhaps you know that you are focusing in a certain way, And when you focus in this way, you have a resonance, which we have mentioned. Effort is required when you are channeling. Also, effort is required when you are focusing and receiving. Let us put it this way: people in the ocean sending out messages, and some of them are receiving messages, but they haven't the awareness where these messages are coming from. And so we say that you are in the ocean sending messages because as you have described it, you have a lag in the type of messaging. You get sound, of course, would be easy, but you would have difficulty sensing underwater. And that was what we meant by environment. So people in specific environments receiving information, but people in different environments have a confusion because it is the environment. So how can an individual know what their source of information is when they are activating scientific exploration of the self? The people you are meeting, many of them are scientifically minded, and so you share your sensitivities with one another, and you ask each other, how are you doing today? These people are sensitive people, and when you sense yourself, you are also contained in a sense, because the people in the ocean have their boats, and your own boat is what you must focus on. And if that makes sense. Our channel has had this dilemma with us. She said, I have to repair my boat, so Orion Council, it is not time for our discussions. And we have to explain this because many people at this time feel that they are in need of some sort of adjustment. Alright, so if you are focusing there and you are creating resonance with adjustments, you are seeing how others are needing adjustments, and so you focus on your own adjustment as a healthy way to navigate the consciousness of the greater reality. If everyone in your perception is focusing on adjusting themselves, you have also an excitement. However, what you are referring to is the lack of an environment where people can adjust together. Yes, this is what we sense many are asking about at this time. Where can we scientifically minded people adjust ourselves together? Yes.
So how do people find harmony? Where does science, magic, and spirituality finds its truth, so they know this can be anchored and made real in this world? How can people come together more conscious?
Sense yourself first and figure out your complex structure, because once you have the knowledge of self, there are beings who will assist. And so our channel was saying, Orion Council, I must adjust myself. Was she channeling? No, she was not channeling Orion Council. She said, Orion Council, I must adjust myself. And what was that energy attracting? We find this a fascinating study because you are connected to higher self. You are connected to sources of information. It is as if you are in a great hall of books and you had your favorite section in that hall of books, and you decided to move into another section. You are still in the hall of books, however, there are different beings in that hallway. And so you are receiving information, but the quality is what many are. The quality is where the resonance must take place. So you say, the quality of this sort of text is more in resonance with the types of communications I have been receiving. And with these books over here, these are quite fascinating and may hold some truths to them and may have interesting people reading them. However, the source of information is what you must dedicate yourself to observing.
How do you detect what is the source? What's the difference between distraction and focus?
We're sensing that you mean, how can I feel my way through knowledge?
Yes.
Priests would say you must focus on the greatest good first. And when you focus on the greatest good, you know. But some people are logically oriented, and they have not the sensitivity of what is good knowledge. They are focused on how the information is constructed, and they have expectations. It is a form of controlling behavior, but they must learn to go within themselves, and most people have not the meditation before they access their own libraries. How do you know what food to eat? Inside of you is a hunger, and you say anything with the nourishment at this time. I'm so hungry. And some of you plan ahead and you say, with my knowledge I have accumulated these sorts of nutritive substances are something I require in this environment at this time of day and in this quantity. What kind of intelligence says, oh, go to the food store and eat anything you can? It is so foolish to do that, but so many consume without consciousness.
So, how can people with less of a consciousness develop more consciousness? Is there a training required?
Yes, of course. People need to. People have humility, but they have not a true desire for humility. They simply know it is the right thing because of the priests.
So, what priests are we talking about? Real priests, propaganda priests?
Some priests who have established your belief structures on this planet. I've had powerful, we would say incantations, but our channel wants us to describe it in a different way. The priests on your planet have structured the ritualistic behavior here, and many are secretively observing religion without explaining to each other that they do so. People are quite private about their beliefs, and they observe those people who appear to be priests. They have observed since they were small children. They looked at the structures, and they formed a structure of focusing since a very young age, and many are stuck with that. They have not explored belief structures, nor have they decided to challenge those belief structures within themselves.
How can we inspire to challenge belief structures that are no longer essential?
Priests would say that you must do what is right, and people have a sense of going about life, which gives them a sense of moral behavior. They have a sense of moral behavior. They sense when their actions are not in alignment with holy texts, and many say that the holy text is how to live life, and so they recall certain laws. Yes, most people operate according to correct and incorrect laws. They haven't the spiritual mindset active. So, how can a scientific society balance themselves with a spiritual mentality? Those mental thought forms, yes, in the Holy Book, have been written a long time ago. So, who is to say it is time to change anything? People have not yet developed humility and a reverence for good changes happening. They have been comfortable, and many of your friends on this planet are creatures of comfort zones. We see many comfort zones. They are difficult to negotiate with if you are not reading a holy book.
Define holy book. What is in the belief system a holy book?
So many would say it is written by angelic consciousness. So how can a human being know what is angelic consciousness and at the same time have a struggle with accepting humility? Your friends and families have a sense of what is moral behavior, but they haven't looked into what it means to focus on their practice. Are you consciously focusing on what we are saying?
Yes.
The rest of what we want to tell you is important.
I'm listening.
Great, thank you. Priests are in other planets, you see, and many humans are frightened because they haven't sensed cosmically that God is greatest outside of their institutions. Because they haven't focused in that way, inside the comfort zone, you will see simple thinking. And once you can give a good feeling to someone with simplicity, that is all that is required for one to be of angelic assistance. Perhaps you'd call it giving instead of taking. These are in the holy books. However, human beings haven't focused on one another who are simply good people. They enjoy this show. How can you have a show with a book, you ask us? Well, look around. There are many books. There's more to come. And people sense a permanency with them. People sense that books are eternal. They haven't focused on how knowledge is shared on the quantum level, but that is something beyond our teaching today.
Would the council have some finalizing words for this transformational process in the closure?
So much information is contained in a library. And when you ask us about the holy text, you would think that, God's laws are only in one part of the library. You would think that you have to go to lengths to know how to achieve a greater unification of yourself with higher self. But what we want you to know is that you have lots of help, and there are many beings who are willing to work with humanity should they open their mind and understand that there's a science to God's holiness, and there is a science to being a good being. There is an actual change in your chemistry when you are kind and when you are giving. And we must remember that those are some of the most important qualities. However, when it comes to channeling and having arguments with beings on other planetary systems, You are talking about resonance. So, can you have a resonance with a holy text? It is not a sentient life form, but can you have a resonance to a holy text?
Yes.
If you had holy text written by angelic consciousness, how does that work if it is not the angelic consciousness speaking directly to you?
Well, it goes through layers, I'm assuming, like buffers or filters. Like a radio has a tuner to pick up a signal through a crystal first.
So, if you are picking up a signal through a crystal from a higher dimension, you say, well, I am comfortable with that. Not so ready for the higher dimension, yes? Since some of you say, I am ready to go right into that church. I'm ready to ascend in that temple there. So many of you are so kind, and you simply need to continue the work. That is our message. Thank you.
We have no more questions. Thank you, Council. As good as new.